Hey, what is up? Welcome to the Tony Forina Show on 956 Preps. It is the debut edition, and essentially in real estate, you have the property brothers. You got Drew and the other guy. Well, in the RGV, you got the sports brothers. You got Jake Berry and myself, and we are doing 956 Preps. And we are kicking off our Tony Forina Show with the PSA North Athletic Coordinator, head football coach, Mr. Marcus Kaufmann. Coach, how are you tonight?
Doing good, sir. Glad you guys invited me on. I didn't realize it was the first one. I'm kind of getting a little nervous here.
Oh, no need to be nervous. If we're not nervous, why would you be nervous?
That's true. You guys are going to make it fun, I bet.
We won't make fun, but those people that are watching the show, they might make a little bit of fun right now.
Mm-hmm.
How is everything going? How are you holding up during this quarantine?
Well, I'm going crazy. When you don't get to see the kids every day like you're used to, I kind of getting a little bit of cabin fever. I get on the computer, watch as many clinics as I can watch. I go bug my wife a bunch. She's in meetings all day long, so I go bug her, try to listen in on the meetings and see what's going on there. But I'm kind of got a little bit of cabin fever as much as you can have. We've had meetings with coaches, had meetings with kids, and it's still not the same thing as being with the big man with those guys and being around them and hanging out and walking and doing those type of deals with them. When I'm on campus, I walk from place to place all day long. I walk like 8 or 9 miles a day, and right now I've got to go outside and get on the walkway out there that goes 2 miles. I mean, it's taken forever to get any. I've gained about 10 pounds. It's a pretty bad deal.
The quarantine beard looks very good on you, might I add.
My wife says it adds a whole lot of years, so I'm looking distinguished now. So hopefully she thinks I look smart. So she lets me say something.
Coach, take us back to that March Friday where you find out that essentially you're going on spring break and you get back and you don't know what's going to happen.
Wow, that was it wasn't a shock. We kind of had a feeling it was going to. We didn't realize it was going to come that Friday, that soon. But it was a pretty smart decision by everybody because you had spring break, and we thought it was going to last a week or two is what I'm betting everybody was thinking, to get the spring break, to get everything going, and then come back a week or two later, and it's still going. But we kind of were in a bug because I was going to do spring ball, and we were thinking, okay, well, are we going to get back by spring? Spring didn't happen. We got all that stuff back, so we had to push spring ball back and not do it, and we're going to come back a week early, and we had to go look for hunt for a scrimmage. And it was just one of those deals where I can't believe this happened. And I was thinking it was more one of those deals when we had the swine flu back, I guess it was 09, 08. I don't remember which year it was. But they pushed the state track meet back. They pushed regionals back, and we did those type of deals. But the schools weren't out. So I was just thinking athletics. When are we going to get the baseball in? Soccer's fixing to start the playoffs. Track is right after spring break was going to be the district track meet. I was just thinking those. I didn't even fathom that we were going to not go to school. That's never happened. But it did. So it's we're all kind of figuring it out and going. And hopefully we end up coming back. If we don't, we'll start over next year. That's what we've already been starting the plans, the district plans and stuff like that for next year, just getting ready.
That's my next question. I want you to take off your head football coach cap, and I want you to put on your athletic coordinator cap. You've got basketball that are wrapped up. You're in the middle of soccer. You're getting ready to start baseball, track and field, as you mentioned. How has that coordination gone through, and what communication have you heard from UIL to say, here are the next plans, here's what we're looking at?
We hear whenever they send out their announcements, is pretty much you hear them the same time as we do whenever they send out those bulletins. But we were actually in the middle of a tournament. We had a Mike Rodriguez tournament going on at North on a Thursday, and the Friday we're done. Shut it off. We had to shut off in the middle of the tournament. So everything was already in full flow. The busiest part of the year athletically for us, where everything's going on at the same time. We're always having to try to figure out who's going to administrate which events on campus. And boom, it just abrupt stop. And it was until further notice, and it was a couple of weeks, and then now it's continually going on and on and on. It was kind of a shock, and I'm still kind of in shock right now. I'm still thinking, like you hear me now talking about planning still. How are they going to get, if they come back, how are we going to get the games in, play Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, going to go one round in baseball? Those type of deals, we're still thinking about those things when we're probably not going to come back. But if we did, I'm still in my mindset, I'm still thinking about this year, but we're setting up for next year because North was the chair last year in the 36A, and this year we're the chair again in 31-6A next year. So we've already started the next year's plans for in 31-6A. We've only got a couple of them left to be done. The baseball and the soccer are the only ones we don't have left, but we're done getting everything planned and organized for the new district with the Edinburghs next year. So we're already planned that, but I'm still in my mind, I'm still thinking we're still working on this year, trying to get everything in as much as we can. Cause I feel really, really bad for those seniors. We had a lot of kids working hard, doing what they needed to do, going along, and all of a sudden, boom, it's pulled out from under them like that. It's kind of sad for them, because I remember my senior year when you played. Do you remember your senior year? Everybody remembers the last game that they played as the last game when they were playing it, not you played one day, you think you're going to play tomorrow, and it goes away. I feel real bad for those guys and girls.
Coach Marcus Kaufmann of PSJ North is joining us here on the Tony Forina Show on 956 Preps. Coach, when you look at the success that your program was in the process of developing, and then you've got realignment come in, and you're going from 36A to 31-6A, and new challenges coming up ahead of you, how do you prep for that? I mean, you got used to, I'm sure, the 2 years that you were in 36A, but now you're facing a whole different rivalry in 31-6A.
My first years at North, we were in pretty close to the same district. We didn't have Mission and La Jolla in it, but we were with Edinburgh. So we were pretty familiar with each other already a little bit. The coaching staffs have changed a little bit over there on that side. The Edinburgh North has changed actually, and it's a little different, but it's still a lot the same. It's football's football. We're gonna play. We lace them up on Friday nights, play ball, and see where everything goes. Just don't turn it over. Like this past season, that was our MO was turning the ball over. We were in every ball game, but when you turn it over 3 or more times a game, you're gonna lose them. And we were still close. So, yeah, great, yeah. Keep the ball, guys.
You hung in pretty well, and
it's just a little bit with the way everything's changed right now. If we can't see the kids in the summer, I'm getting pretty nervous. You know, everything's online. We did Zoom for a while until district wide with the hacking of Zoom. We were told we weren't allowed to use Zoom anymore. So now we're using the meets from Microsoft, the schools program.
Right.
So it's not the same. We didn't want to use Teams because we wanted to see each and every kid while we were talking to them and those type of deals. So it's we're in an adjustment phase right now with the online platforms. But if that's all we're going to do is online platforms. We're going to get into the season. Everybody's having the same problems, and hopefully we figure out the problems and are able to adjust to them better than everybody else so we can compete. But if we don't and somebody does a better job, that's kind of one of those deals where it's a no man's land. It kind of makes me nervous where it's stuff that I don't know. I don't know if I'm doing the right things, the wrong things, how I'm working out this online stuff to be able to get to our kids. It's kind of nerve-wracking a little bit.
Watching the national news, they're talking about we might have sports in 2020. If we do, there won't be any fans in the stands. Is that something that how do you?
With the high school sports, I can't, like even the college sports. I mean, if they're going to class and they're in the classrooms and in the buildings, they're all together. There's no way. I mean, if they're going to do that, they're not going to have school because we have classrooms of 30 kids and they're all sitting next to each other. You can't go 6 feet apart in a classroom.
Right.
So that's just like being in the stadium. I mean, I don't know how they would even think that if they're going to have class because it's the same problems. We're going to be in the classroom. We got 2,000 kids 2,300 kids on our campus, all in a confined area, but you're not going to let them in a stadium. I don't see the actual thought process to where that would work. We're going to go to school, put 30 kids in a classroom in a 10 by 15 whatever box, and but you can't go sit in a stadium and watch a game. If they're going to do that, we're not going to play. Is probably what's going to happen. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to level. I'm hoping we can get back at least by July. And be able to work with our kids by July so we can actually have a season to where the kids actually get some work before it starts. But I'm still pretty nervous about it.
And the success that you guys have in other sports, basketball with Coach Gongora, and you're getting 1,000 fans in the gym there every time he plays, and the success that you've had in baseball and softball, and you know it's gonna have a lot of ramifications as to the success and where you can take the program.
Yes. Our big deal at North since I've gotten there, we do talk a lot about the off seasons in the weight room. And right now, but we're on them every day, getting them in the weight room, making them work. But right now, you guys better work. Yeah, coach, we're working. I don't know if they're working or not. So that's where the online platforms where we're trying to watch them a little bit, but they're doing push-ups and sit-ups. And now we're like everybody else. I don't know if we work harder. I feel like we do. We're going to be the hardest working. We're going to work our butts off. We're going to be the strongest team on the field. Every time we go out there is the mindset that we try to have. But now we're doing the same thing that everybody else. We're running. We're doing those type of deals as much as they can. But I don't know what they're doing, so that's where I'm nervous. If we're not the strongest ones out there, what's going to happen? It's kind of making me nervous a little bit. Are we going to have that success if it has to be me coaching? It's like, oh, no, we're going to be stronger than you. We're going to be able to beat you. But if I'm going to have to coach, I don't know if we're going to be able to win a game. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to take you back to your assistant coach, offensive coordinator days. Tell me what it was like having your son play for you as quarterback at McCallum Memorial.
Early, it was pretty nerve-wracking. It was when we started him as a freshman, his freshman year. We didn't know he was a runner when he first got in there. We knew he could throw the ball because we threw it in pre-games. Everybody saw him throw the ball in pre-games when he was in junior high all the time. But we didn't realize he was a runner. But when we played, we scrimmaged Los Fresnos when they went 3 rounds deep the previous year. They had the Springer boys playing one playing linebacker, one playing quarterback, and we scrimmaged him. He gets hit from the blind side and it breaks his shoulder pads. His old straps on his shoulder pads completely snapped open, broke open. So I pick him up off the ground and I'm laughing because he's knocked the wind out of himself too. And me and Coach Littleton, young Coach Littleton, the one that's my defense coordinator now, over there talking to him, laughing at him because he's trying to get his breath back. He's hurting. And so we sew him back up. I mean, not sew him back up, sew his shoulder pads back up, put a shoestring in it, tie it back up together, and get your butt back in there. And then he didn't get hit again the rest of the game. The next couple of plays later, we run a bootleg, and he reverses field, takes off, and he's gone for 80 yards. I said, fear does something for you, doesn't it, buddy? He was because they knocked the tar at him. And then we had a lot of issues early. You know how the McGowan stuff is, where people think it's because he's your son, he's playing. It's not because he's the best player. Those type of deals. When we're going to play the best player, regardless if he's my kid, if he's somebody else's kid, if he's a freshman beating out a senior. That's what we're going to do. And for the first year, we had a lot of 2 years, we had a lot of blowback on that decision. We won a district championship and won a by-district championship his freshman year, and he threw for 2,000 yards his sophomore year, and we still had a lot of blowback. And they finally started coming around. The parents, the kids were already on board, started coming around, and that's the hard part when the parents are on you about your kid. I mean, If it was my decision, it's one deal. It's me. They were on me about. They were on him about it. Some, so it was a little bit tough. But it's junior and senior year were a lot of fun. Everybody was on board. Everybody was behind it. Everybody understood what we were trying to do there. And it was a lot of fun. He was working and doing what he needed to do. I would just call formations, or I would just say, you got it. And he would call the play in the formation. He was cerebral-wise, he was top-notch. He knew what was going on. He knew what needed to happen. And he was able to get the kids to do it. It was a lot of fun to coach him. Later on in the years, early, it was stressful because of everybody just nonstop berating us about because he's your kid. This kid needs to play. That kid needs to play. He's because he's your kid. It was pretty tough. I mean, and I feel for a lot of people that play their kids, that have their kids. I talk to him. I understand your deal. We've got Coach De La Garza on our campus right now. His son was the offensive MVP of the Valley. His son plays on our basketball team.
Yep.
And it's real hard to get that medium where you're getting onto him, but you don't want to get onto him too hard because he's going to feel like he's getting abused. But you don't want to be nice to him because everybody's going to think you're giving him playing favorites. So it's a pretty tough line to be able to work on. I was always on the line where everybody thought I was abusing my kid all the time. But that's where I needed to be because of where everybody else was. Everybody else was because the only reason he was there. And so it's a hard line to do. It's pretty tough coaching your kids, but it's about the most rewarding thing in the world. Even my daughter, I coached her every chance I got. You can ask the basketball coach and the volleyball coach. I was coaching her every chance I can. I was just like every other parent. But
when Matthew's done at Memorial, he goes on and he signs with Army, right?
Yes.
And he had an okay career at Army? Is that what we –
Yeah, he didn't get to play very much. He ended up playing a bunch of defense his senior year. He grew up a lot. Actually, he was actually pretty full-grown when he was in high school. He learned a lot about life there. I mean, like he talks a lot about the different types of people that he was meeting and the different backgrounds that they had. I mean, the story I love to tell about when he went to West Point, he went to the prep school first, right? Where you go to prep school for a year, get ready to go into West Point because it's so rigorous and so tough to get in there. But he was at the prep school as a football player, and they had the little suites where there was 4 people, 4 people in a suite. He had 2 valedictorians and a salutatorian rooming with him in his suite. And he's like, dude, I'm just a football player. What am I doing? What am I doing? And these guys are at the prep school. What is that place going to be like? I mean, it was one of those type of you got kicked in the head going, wait a minute, what did I just do? But he went through there, graduated. They all love him. His defensive coordinator that was there when he went to play defense, and they loved him. Everybody there loved him. He coached the quarterbacks when he went back after his graduating, coached the quarterbacks. But his defensive coordinator that was there now, he's Coach Bateman, and that's over at North Carolina now. He's a co-defense coordinator at North Carolina. So he's already made his connections, and they're already talking to each other about when he gets out, what is he going to do if he's going to want to go coach? And he's going to, so he'll probably be coaching at those levels is what I'm thinking. If he ends up getting into that field, getting out, I don't know what he's going to do. He hasn't decided yet, but he's got the connections he's made are amazing. He's got some of his friends that have been down here in the Valley that he owns properties already in the Valley, and they own properties around the country where they're already starting to diversify. He just graduated from college. He owns a quad in Edinburgh, and his friends are owning properties, already starting to do stuff. And the influences that he's got from those guys it's amazing. And and from what they're saying, they all came down here, so he's influencing them a bunch. They come down here and want to hang out with him whenever he was in college. They came down for spring break with us. It's a pretty cool experience for all of us, that West Point experience.
Now, as much as we want to talk about Matthew, let's talk about your daughter Madeline. That was a great athlete in her own shape and form.
Yes, absolutely. She was a awesome volleyball player, basketball player, and she ended up running track at Stephen F. Austin. She was a heptathlete. She won the conference over there. Stephen F. Austin's Division I school. She won the conference in the heptathlon through the javelin. I mean, of course, the javelin. She threw a football every day with us, every pre-games, and the javelin motion is just like a football. So she actually threw she did the heptathlon, the 7 events, but then she also threw the javelin open, and she ended up second or third in the conference as a straight javelin thrower, as in the conference championships her senior when they won when the whole team won the conference. So she's one of them. Everybody messes with me about her that she's my clone. If you ever want to see what I act like in private or public or outside, just go watch my daughter. We're pretty much exactly the same person. That's why when she was in high school, we'd be like that all the time. I know what you're thinking, stop. I know what you're thinking, stop. He was always like that. But she's like my clone, and my son is like my wife on the personality way, where he's super cerebral, analyzing, and then doing the whole analyzing thing and figuring out what's going on, and then making a move. Me and my daughter are going to go straight head first and then figure it out later. It's one of those type of deals. So we got the two personalities going.
Coach Marcus Kaufmann of PSA North is joining us here on the Tony Forina Show on 956 Preps. If you haven't liked the page, you got to do so already. Formerly known as 956 Sports. We'll get into that much later. Now it's 956 Preps. Like the page. Make sure you follow us as we get the opportunity to sit down and talk with different coaches and different athletic folks from around the RGV. Now, Coach, getting back to Maddie, she's actually on your staff at PSA North now.
Yes, absolutely. She was she graduated. I don't even know what year she graduated, but her first year out, she ended up at Mac High. Actually, she was an assistant track coach at Mac High. She teaches English, and I had a bunch of coaches from around the valley, track coaches and stuff like that, calling, trying to get her, see if she wanted to move over to their campus to get a job. I said, yeah, I was trying to hook her up, give them the phone numbers, hooking her up at jobs places. I'm thinking, wait a minute, why am I getting her somewhere else? Why don't I just hire her? So I introduced her to my principal, and she went to go talk to English. I was in the room going, I don't even know what this is about. They're all talking about English. She's an English teacher, and her scores were so good at Mac High that my principal wants to hire her right on the spot. I'm like, wait a minute, this is my daughter that's going to coach me. I don't know if this is allowed, but I'm hiring her. She's an English teacher first. Well, yes, ma'am, she is. Let's go. Let's roll with this. And then she did the same thing in English over at North. She did a great job in the classroom and had great scores again. And then it's transferring over to the track. She's my head cross country coach and my head track coach. When she first got there, she was my head track coach. And then this year we gave her cross country. She's got a whole bunch of girls. She's got a little crew of we call them little Madelyns running around behind her. And she's got them there working hard. They're all actually working like she did when she was in school. So it's up and coming. The track and cross country at North are up and coming because of the little core that she's got that are bought in and doing what they need to. She got about 10 girls right now that she puts them on not Zoom, but the Teams app, and they're working hard in there. And they don't even know if they're going to, most likely they're not going to have a season, but they're still in there working. She got a whole bunch of young ones doing it, and they'll all be back. Her whole entire team will be back next year. So she's doing a good job. I'm real proud of her on how she's doing it. Don't tell her that. I hope she doesn't watch this. I can't let that out. I don't think I've ever told her that out loud.
I can only imagine what the broadband is at your house. If you're having meetings, if she's having meetings with her players, yes. Mrs. Kaufmann's probably meeting with some of the teachers there at her school. So it's got to be one of these things where the broadband is stretched.
Broadband is nuts. Yeah, she actually owns her own little duplex over in Edinburgh. But wow. She didn't do she doesn't have Wi-Fi and stuff there because she doesn't want to waste her money. So she comes over here. You're right. She comes over here, but we got this group broadband here that's pretty fast. I mean, it's actually really good. But yes, we're on meetings all day long, trying to figure out how we're going to go. We may be doing it right. We may not. Nobody knows what's going on. We'll find out who is right in the fall when we're playing football and when we're doing all the other sports. to figure out who did it right, because we don't know. I mean, this really is. You can tell I'm usually pretty confident about what's going to happen, but I know we're ready to go athletically. I just don't know this stuff. Are we going to have them ready? Are we going to have them ready to go? They'll be ready mentally. They're going to be ready physically and ready to go like that. Because mentally wise, we were having football meetings already, talking to them, doing those type of deals. But are we going to be ready? I'm just real nervous about the season, which is a good thing, I guess. Getting those nerves going, you might overwork a little bit. And me, like Jake knows me, I'll never overwork.
Getting back to the football field and talking about the new era that we're in. You don't get a chance to work out with the guys. You don't get a chance to see what they're doing. You're going off their words. I mean, what do you expect? How do you build off of last year's where you were close in several games, but you had turnovers? How do you build off of that?
Well, we're trying to do it the same way we always have. It may be right, maybe wrong. We just talk about it. Talk about the situational stuff. We put video up because these apps are amazing. I've learned a lot about these things. I've used this iPad more now than ever, and I've learned split screen on an iPad. I never even knew that existed until we started this stuff. But I'm able to put up the video of ball games and say, this is what should have we done in this situation. Turnovers happen, and those type of deals where on the interceptions we can fix because we won't throw the ball. No, I'm kidding. But the interceptions we can fix on who we threw to, who your reads, and those type of deals, or a bad ball, those type of things like that. The rest of it really was just interceptions. When we threw the ball, it was 3 or 4 of them in a ball game. We had one. The Bears, we had 5. We had 4 interceptions and a fumble in the Bears game, and we lose by 3. I mean, it was one of those, like the road game, the road game. The road game, the quarterback threw 2 or 3 picks and a fumble. We had 4 turnovers in that ball game. And if we don't throw the ball, if we at the end of the game we have a chance to win in that game, we had 4 turnovers, and we had 4 turnovers in the first half of the La Jolla game, and we're down 3 almost, I think, 17 points in the first half. We ended up winning it because we didn't turn it over anymore in the second half. It's just one of those deals where turnovers just kept on. It was a bug that kept on happening, and you just work on it. We'll work ball drills and stuff like that, and more of a quick game type mentality in the passing game rather than a deep dropping game. We weren't 5 and 7 set drops, going read game on stuff like that, and the pocket would break down and we'd throw a pick. Those type of deals. Get rid of the ball quick, more of a screen type game is what I was planning. But when you can't do it live with them, we're gonna go. And that Coach Lefevre is really, really good with that type of stuff too. My offensive coordinator. Right. So as soon as he gets with them, we'll get going whenever we can. If we have to start in August, we'll start in August, and it's just like everybody else. Everybody else is going to have the same problems. But I'm hoping Lefevre's a better coach than everybody else, because I know I'm not.
You mentioned when we were talking about Matthew how he got hit by the Springer boys in the Los Fresnos game, and that fear kind of motivated him to run a little bit more. This past season, your personnel, that fear of injury, did that kind of hold them back? Did that stifle them a little bit?
I felt like it. We had a coach, Rangel was a quarterback he was a junior. He was a 3,000-yard offensive guy, and he ended up spraining his MCL the first ball game. He had 200 yards rushing, 200 pass in that first ball game against Harlingen South. Actually, the second ball game against Harlingen South. He had 300, 400 yards of offense the first game, 400 yards the second game, and then against Harlingen South, the last series, he sprained his MCL, and he really never got back to what he was capable of. So when we put him at receiver, he was able to go and do those things that he was capable of doing. It was just that injury kind of made him lose his edge a little, like you were talking about. Sometimes some people take it one way, some people – and he ended up being an awesome receiver. He could play anywhere in the country at wide receiver, we found out, when he was just we were throwing jump balls over people. But it just has to get over that type of deal. And in basketball, it took him a little while to get over the knee injury at the start of the basketball season as well. It's just one of those deals where once you get over it and know that it's okay, because it's loose, and the sprained MCL is a little loose, and you don't know if it's an injury, if it's really hurt, or the coach is telling me the truth or not. It's one of those deals. And that affected us a little bit during the season on that part, that mental. I mean, if you know anything about anybody that I've coached, it's going to be you're going to finish forward, and we didn't do that a lot last year. Our running back does. Isaac Gonzalez is doing a good job. He's a sophomore last year. He ran for 1,500 yards on limited carries. He averaged 8 a carry. But we're going to have to lean on him heavily, and he's a guy that'll get downhill and finish runs and those type of deals.
But you have a platoon of running backs. I mean, you've got 8 or 9 of them, from what I understand.
It wasn't 8, maybe not 8 or 9. I wish. The other 5 are going to be playing linebacker. Linebacker and DB, we had that many. But no, we've got some guys that can tote the rock. I mean, they like it. They like it. They want to get downhill, and they like the physicality of what we do offensively and defensively. If you watch us play defense, we're trying to keep the same, be multiple and be physical on both sides of the ball as much as you can to try to confuse people formation-wise offensively and by fronts on defense, and then hit you. And we're going to continue to hit you. And that's what these PSA North kids, that's what they're going to do. That's the one thing that I don't have to worry about. We didn't have to go teach them that. When you can ask Coach Littleton, when we got to McAllen Memorial, we had to teach them how to hit and how to be physical and how to do those happening. And it took us a couple of years to get that on over there. At North, I got here, we're going to teach you how to be physical. Oh, chill, guys. Chill out. You're going to hurt somebody. Chill. They're already physical. Now we just got to get them going the right direction and do those type of deals and be strong. So that first year we were physical and now we were going, but we didn't have that off season under our belt and we got hurt. We got hurt. We won 7 in a row and then lost the last 3 because we were like a mass unit of injuries because we played so hard and so fast. We weren't able to sustain it the entire season. That's more what I'm worried about. I may have to, if we can't physically get to where we need to be, but when the season starts, are we going to be able to play like that and make it and be able to not worry about it, that we're going to get hurt? So it's one of those, I got to coach a little bit differently, adjust a little bit on how much contact we have and those type of deals because of we don't have enough weights, enough mass in our muscles to hold everything together from all the contact.
Right. Coach, final question of the night, and again, thanks for joining us as we debut the show today. What do we look forward to after this? I mean, give me your best guess for football 2020 if we have football, and how does your district pan out?
Well, our district's going to be tough. We got 2 of the district champions from the other district are coming over. The Bears and the Eagles are coming into our district, and then you got Vela. And so we got Vela sitting right over there that's head and shoulders above everybody pretty much in the valley right now. The way – actually, they always walk around like that. They think they're going to be pretty good next year, but they're always walking around like that. But, no, they look like they're going to be pretty good. They're big, strong. They're doing what they need to do. We got – we got 3 different district champs coming into this district, and most of those guys are coming back on all those teams. So it's going to be a pretty tough road. It's going to be a tough road. I don't mind losing the McAllens. The emotions don't get as high.
Right.
So I don't mind that part of it. But we're still gonna be on the other side. It's not as personal to me without the McAllens in it. But the Edinburghs are going to be just as good because our kids are closer to those kids, more demographically closer to those Edinburgh kids. So they hang out with each other. They do those type of things with each other already. So it's going to be fun. I mean, we were in it before. It's going to be tough. It's going to be – I just want something. I can't even watch football on TV. It's got to be everything's got to be – no football, no baseball, no basketball on TV. I want something to happen. That stuff that the horrors on the virtual horrors, that ain't going to work. We got to do something.
I was watching the 2010 NBA Finals, the Celtics and the Lakers right now before we jumped on. So it was one of those things where, there was nothing that really stood out about that series that you went, okay, here comes the big play. It was just basketball.
Just basketball, yeah. That's kind of – I'm like, with TV's going there's only so many series I can watch. I mean, I've got so many what are these things called? Binge watching all these shows.
Yep.
I'm like, wow, I'm getting caught up on them all. When I run out, what am I going to do? Hopefully we start school because that'll give me something to do. Yell at some kids. That's a fun thing every day, getting to yell at some kids.
And get them in shape. Coach, I appreciate you joining us and look forward to the success that you're going to have in the upcoming season once we get back to it.
Yes, sir. Hopefully. Hopefully it happens.
Coach Marcus Kaufmann of PSA North joining us here on the Tony Forina Show at 956 Preps. Do me a favor, make sure you like the page, follow us, and stay up to date on what's happening with high school sports around the Rio Grande Valley. It's 956 Preps. I want to thank Coach Marcus Kaufmann of PSA North for taking a little bit out of his quarantine Wednesday for joining us. And, of course, our man behind the scenes, Mr. Jake Berry, looking so dapper in his ungray beard when Coach Kaufmann and I are here. We're showing the gray V right here. So it's good to see you, Jake. Always a pleasure, and we'll be chatting soon.